This is not the original Coexist symbol. The original was stolen and co-opted, and most people don't even know why it was designed in the first place. Ever wonder what it exactly means? I'd be curious to hear in the comments the first time you saw this symbol what you assumed it meant. I thought it meant something like all religions have some claim to truth. Maybe that's just what my parents told me growing up, but that's really not what it means at all. Its original meaning actually was intentionally obscured by the people who stole the design and turned it into the tacky commodity we all know today. The creator of the Coexist symbol is a Polish graphic designer named Piotr Mlodozeniec, and he created it in 2001 for a coexistence-themed poster contest at the Museum of the Seam. This is a contemporary art museum in Jerusalem, and it usually puts on one or maybe a couple major exhibits every year. The original Coexist didn't win the contest, but it got a lot of exposure and got posted around the world. And of course, this looks different from the bumper sticker we've all seen. It focuses on these three clear religious symbols. Its point is to advocate peace between Muslims, Jews, and Christians. 2003, though, a group of college students from Indiana, led by Joe Sadler and Chris Tierney, incorporated a company called Coexist LLP. These guys were graphic designers, and they knew a good logo when they saw one, but the problem is they didn't get Mlodozeniec's permission. When they finally reached out to him in 2005 asking permission to use the logo, he didn't grant it. Unsurprisingly, he was ticked off. Quote, "They phoned me. They tried to ask me to give them permission. I told them I don't like it and I want them to stop doing this. They make the suggestion that I've approved what they're doing. The truth is I'm strongly against them," end quote. Elsewhere, he said of Coexist LLP, quote, "The company promotes a feeling that they're idealistic and for the peace, but they're only interested in the money. They're dishonest people. They're suing other people who use this design, so I do very strongly oppose that," end quote. You heard that right. Coexist LLP sued other people for using this design. They tried patenting not only the logo, but the word coexist itself with the US Trademark Office, trying to prevent anyone else from using that word in a logo, regardless of the design. One reason Mlodozeniec was upset, something any artist can relate to, which is he thinks he's done a lot better work. He doesn't like being known as the Coexist guy. He's not a one-trick pony and has done all kinds of designs for different topics and different contests. But anyway, a more interesting reason, I think, for Mlodozeniec's disapproval is that company, Coexist LLP, that stole his design, added a bunch of stuff to the logo that he didn't want there. They added a peace sign for the O, okay, that's fine, but a yin and yang for the S, male and female symbols for the E, and then a pentagram dotting the I, you may have noticed. So what began as an image pushing a very tangible agenda has turned into a sort of hippy-dippy mishmash and more of a vibe than an actual message. And just to reiterate, it did have a distinct message originally. It was designed for a contest in Jerusalem. It's about peace between the three major religions in Jerusalem. But of course, the common Coexist bumper sticker today is completely a vibe. People don't realize what it was originally made for. And the designer has said it was not ever to be associated as much with religions as with humanity as a whole. That designer's name is Jerry Jasper. This is his website. It's called peacemonger.org. And he seems like a cool old hippie. He likes the dead. His site's, selling other hippie stuff. And that's where the Coexist sticker we've all seen hundreds of times comes from. Jerry is kind enough to explain what the symbols mean to him. So if you're wondering, symbol by symbol, the crescent moon C with the star, he says, is commonly but mistakenly understood to represent Islam. The moon and star symbol identify with Diana, a moon goddess of ancient antiquity, end quote. The peace symbol is the O, the E is for equality and peace between genders. The X is a Star of David. The I find interesting, is a Unitarian Universalist flaming chalice. That's a progressive Christian denomination. And Jerry points out that most, if not all, faiths from antiquity to present incorporated the flame as a sacred symbol. S is the Taoist yin-yang, and the Christian cross is the T, and here Jerry emphasizes, it is not placed last for any other reason than it forms the last letter in our one-word poem, which is coexist. I do find it very interesting that the C doesn't represent the obvious, which is Islam. It represents the goddess Diana. Islam actually isn't represented anywhere in this symbol, so hard not to see a parallel between that and the other big theft behind the Coexist story, and that's the museum itself where it debuted. The museum on the Seam is located on the border between the Israeli and Palestinian sides of Jerusalem. It was built in 1932 by a Palestinian Arab architect and landlord named Andoni Baramki as a rental property. When its residents fled to Gaza during the 1948 Nakba, the IDF took control of it and turned it from a house into a military outpost. The Bromke family, of course, tried to get their house back, but without success. A scholar named Thomas Aboud writes that Israel, quote, refused to hand over to the Bromkes the badly damaged property, claiming alternately that it was still required for purposes of Israeli security, that it was in need for repair and thus a hazard, and finally that the ownership of the property had shifted since the Israeli grid of legality had been imposed on Jerusalem, end quote. The great irony is this property was, you want to know what it become? It was a museum of tolerance at that point. Though, to be fair, they did allow Gabi Baramki, the son of Andoni, to finally visit the museum his father built, and they even waived his admission fee. So, there you go. But 1 year later, only 1 year later in 2000 is when the Coexist symbol contest was held. And I didn't mention Bono yet, but I really should mention that he was a big reason this got popular in the US. U2 used to on tour in the mid-2000s, so you can blame Bono if you don't like the symbol. It is sometimes the guy you most expect. But anyway, I find it very interesting that this symbol that was created with a clear message in mind has become just kind of an empty vibe. Might be something good to keep in mind if you see it out and about. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found that interesting as well.